Hello there. Today we're going to make some corned beef and cabbage sandwiches. And these are going to be so delicious. The cabbage, however, is going to be actually sauerkraut. Let me show you the rest of the ingredients. It's a real easy recipe to make. Alright, here's the ingredients. I have some nice fry bread beef steak. I have some brown mustard. This is a little spicy. Some butter, some Worcestershire sauce. I have some cooking stock. You can use beef stock. I have vegetable stock handy today. Of course, the sauerkraut, which I just mentioned, which is made from cabbage. That's why it's a corned beef and cabbage sandwich. I have a pack of lacy Swiss cheese. And I really wanted to show you how easy it is. Go to your deli and you can get most of these ingredients to make a really fantastic set of sandwiches. I have Black Bear first cut corned beef from the deli. Maybe there's a time where you don't have time to make a corned beef brisket and you'd like to have an authentic corned beef sandwich. This was my shortcut today. I didn't want to wait 8 to 10 hours to cook a corned beef, but I bought a piece of the brisket from the deli. And this is what they would normally slice when you go in and you ask for a couple slices, a quarter pound, a half pound, whatever you get. And so I asked the person at the deli, could you please just give me the end of that piece of meat, and I want to cut it my own thickness myself. But isn't that a nice way to get it? It's tender, it's easy to work with. So the other ingredient in our recipe is some onions, which I already chopped up. So by going to the deli, you can pick up the corned beef, the Swiss cheese, the sauerkraut, the mustard, and the bread. I got all those right there at the deli when I went shopping. And the other things I had in stock at home. Alright, we're going to start by taking a frying pan and putting the onion in here. We're going to cut up a little chunk of butter to saute the onion. I'm just going to say a tablespoon. I'm going to put this on the stove and saute it while I show you how to make the rest of the ingredients, okay? Alright, next step, I'm going to cut up the meat. For what I'm going to make is 2 sandwiches. So I'm just going to trim a little of the extra fat off of here. This piece, or what I wanted to talk about, was this piece cost $13. And that's about the cost of a brisket before you cook it. So, you know, it's a little bit less value when you buy it this way, but the convenience of already having it cooked. This was 1 1/3 pounds, and I'm going to use just a couple slices off of it. And I have another recipe for a soup, which I'm going to use for the rest. Alright, so let's take some nice thick slices. I want them to be about a 1/2 inch thick. So we're just going to cut across. And then if there's any extra fat that you don't like, just trim it off. And take another 2 slices or so off of here. We're going to cut it up to put it in the frying pan. Alright, now this I'm going to reserve for my soup later on. Alright, let's just take, make little bite-sized pieces here, because we're going to assemble these into a grilled cheese sandwich. And we want them to be kind of small, not too thick. And sometimes, you know, the corned beef can be a little bit firm, too firm, but we're going to saute them in with the onions and some broth. And you'll see how nice it's going to go into the sandwich.
Is that already cooked?
Yeah.
Can I have a piece?
Oh yeah. I'll give you a piece without any fat. There you go.
Thank you.
Taste it. See how it tastes to you. Does it taste like one we would make?
Similar.
It might not have all the spices in that we always use, right?
It's pretty good. Yeah, it's not spicy or smoky.
Right. All right, when we
That's
get
good.
nice little cubes here, we're going to go over there to the onions. All right, while the onions are getting nice and brown, I'm going to make the broth that we're going to cook this in. So let's start with the measuring cup and the vegetable broth. We're going to use about a cup. Something like that. Now some people could dress this up a little bit more and use some beer in here. You could use a dark beer like porter, about a cup of it you could use instead of the broth if you like that flavor. So we're going to take this broth and we're going to add, let's use a tablespoon of spicy brown mustard. This is the stone ground type. And then we're going to use about a tablespoon little of our Worcestershire sauce. A couple shakes. And this is the mixture that we're going to add to the corned beef and onions. So let's go over to the stove and I'll take you through that part right now. Alright, we have the onions browning nicely, and we're going to start adding the cubes of corned beef. Kind of want to brown that beef a little bit. That was part of the reason for putting it into cubes. Since the frying pan is good and hot, it starts to brown right away. You can tell the flavors are going to be good. Alright, we're starting to get a little browning on there. Mix up your broth. Oh boy, that's going to be good. We're just going to stir that around a little and we're going to let that simmer while we get the bread ready to go in the other frying pan here. Alright, while the simmering is taking place here, it's going to allow some of the juices to cook off and the sauce will get a little bit thicker. In the meantime, I have 4 nice slices of rye bread here, and I'm going to butter them up and get them in the frying pan here to start the toasting of the outside. Warming things up. The rye bread has a tendency to be a little bit more dry than a lot of the bread that we might eat, so I just want to make sure it has a nice amount of butter so it'll get a nice brown, crunchy surface. So we're going to make 2 sandwiches, and we'll put the setup here. I'm going to turn the frying pan on to low to get that started warming up. Here I'm using our new Foodie Never Stick frying pan. Been good so far. So I thought it would be good for these sandwiches. If you have a griddle or an outside flat top, you might want to do something like that also. Okay, now look how nice and thick this sauce is. And also the beef is starting to soften up and fall apart a little bit more, which is great for a sandwich. So I'm going to turn the heat off and let this sit for a second. Let it thicken up a little more. Let's go over to the frying pan. Now on this, we started to toast the one side of the bread. Let's take a look. See, the butter's melted. It's starting to get a little crispy. So what we're going to do is put a little piece of foil aside here. I'm going to put that bottom piece on the foil. I'm going to turn this over so the butter side is down. Toast that one over there too. The butter side goes down. Now, while this is starting to warm up, I'm going to add some Swiss cheese. One slice of Swiss. And we'll let that start to toast on that side and get warm. We're almost ready to add the beef mixture. Alright, let's start to assemble the sandwiches. In here in the frying pan, you can see the cheese is getting warm and the bread's starting to toast. So onto that cheese that's warming up, we're going to add half of the mixture on each one. So let's pull it together. Put it down into the sandwich. If some falls out, you know what? Somebody's going to eat it, don't worry. Look at how that sauce turned into a nice thick coating for the meat. Alright, let's spread it out. See, the cheese is starting to simmer here. Can you see that down close? Okay. All right, right on top of that mixture here, I'm going to add a little sauerkraut. Here's your cabbage. Oh boy. That's a nice blend here. All right, let's top it off with another Swiss cheese. Also, the top of the bread. All right, now as this starts to brown on the bottom, we're going to flip it over. Oh my God, look at that. We're going to start to melt the cheese from this side. Just going to turn the heat down so it's nice and low. Get all that cheese melted. If you want to peek in on this side, look, it's all melted and it's got the meat sticking to it. Oh, just want to do the same thing on the other side. Alright, I think we have melting on both sides. Let's take that over to the plate. Oh, we got a piece of meat on the top. Let's take the sandwich and cut it. Look at that, all ready to serve. Crunchy on the outside, gooey on the inside, full of nice corned beef, cheese, and sauerkraut. Now there's a nice sandwich you can do really quick from a few deli ingredients or from your own home-cooked corned beef. Alright, I'm just going to make a few little tastes out of this and see how it is. Rick, would you like to try it?
Yep.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Mmm. Wow. That's full of flavor. That's really good. I highly recommend this recipe. It's corned beef season, friends. Try this sandwich out. Thanks for watching.